Hello everyone, it's Lisa from Epic Yarn Gems. Today I am going to be showing you how to do the Harlequin stitch. To start this stitch, we are going to start with a slip knot. Do that however works best for you. And then you are going to do chains in multiples of 8 until you get to your desired length. Once you get to that length, you are going to add one more chain. So do that however works best for you. I have done some research on the Harlequin stitch, read some books, did some online research, and there are many different ways to do this, but I am going to show you the way that seems to be the most common. So it is very similar to the Catherine wheel, and I've seen some people call the Catherine wheel the Harlequin stitch, but I will show you how to do that stitch actually in another tutorial. But for this one, we are going to use the most common method that I have found to do this stitch. This next row is optional, but it does give it a nice base to start from. So what you are going to do is you're going to do a row of single crochets starting from the second chain from the hook all the way to the end of your foundation chain. After you complete that, we are going to get into the rows that you are going to be using to actually make the Harlequin stitch. For this example, I am using just some leftover yarn that I had in my 5.5 millimeter hook. So row 1, this is going to be a chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to do a single crochet in that first stitch. This is where the repeat pattern is going to begin. So you're going to skip 3, going into that fourth stitch, and you're going to do 3 double crochets into that stitch. I will put a link to a tutorial on how to do double crochets if you need a reminder or you've just never done a double crochet. But I would suggest starting with some of the easier stitches before you start putting them together to make stitches like the Harlequin stitch. Then you're going to do a chain 1, and then you're going to do 3 double crochets right back into that same stitch. After you have finished those, you're going to skip the next 3 stitches on the other side of that little bunch cluster that you just made. After you do your skip 3, you are going to put a single crochet into that fourth stitch. Now this is where you're going to, after you do this, you're going to start the repeat. You are going to skip the next 3 stitches, and you're going to go into that fourth stitch and do that little cluster again with the 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, and you're going to do that all the way across until you get to the end of your row. Just a little note of something I did not realize: if you are a Batman fan and there is the character that hangs out with the Joker, Harley Quinn, and her outfit looks like this stitch. Until I was doing the research and actually looking at how this stitch came out, I did not connect that Harley Quinn was the same as Harlequin. So just shows my my lack of knowledge there of Batman characters, but I just wanted to share with you just in case you were wondering, where the name Harley Quinn came from. So once we finish this, you will see the pattern, and that is the pattern on her outfit, and also the pattern that you see on a lot of outfits for clowns or really more jokers. So we're going to finish up this row, finishing this last cluster, and you're going to skip 3 and then finish this row with a single crochet into that very last stitch. And that would be the completion of row 1. Now after we do this, we're going to go on to the next row, and just make a mental note that starting with row 2, that is going to be one of the rows that falls into the repeat pattern as we make this pattern all the way up and down. So finishing this off, I actually did change my yarn here, and I'm pulling in a light lavender yarn. Change your yarn however works best for you. This is just the way that I do it. And when I do change my color, I like to make sure all of my ends are nice and snug and tight, and just so that it makes a nice end. You're going to weave them in later, but this is just how I start this. So you're going to do a chain 3 in your new color. You are going to skip that very first stitch, that single crochet right there that you did your chain. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do 3 double crochets together. So there's 1 double crochet, going to the next stitch, doing another double crochet, but you're not finishing them, as you can see. And you're going to do 3 double crochets. When you do that, you are going to have a total of 4 loops on your hook because you didn't finish the double crochet. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And this is where the repeat pattern for this row starts. You're going to do a chain 7. Just as a note, make sure you do your stitches a little looser, because when you have to pull your hook through all of those loops on your hook, if they're too tight, you're going to have some trouble pulling it through nice and cleanly. So you are going to skip the next stitch, which was the chain 1 from the previous row, and now you are going to do 6 double crochets together. So you can see that we're not finishing those. So you're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through 2 loops. Then you are going to skip that little center single crochet in the dip, but you're just going to keep continuing with those 6 double crochets, just pretending like that center single crochet is not even there. Then you are going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all the loops on your hook. And you're going to do this until you get to the very last um, cluster that you have done. You can see here. And in this one, you're not going to do the full repeat. You're going to do a chain 7. You are going to skip that next stitch, which is this chain 1 from the previous row, and you are going to do 3 double crochets together. And then in the very last stitch, you'll do a double crochet. And this is just how the ending of this works, because you have to end it somewhere, I guess, in making these little triangle looking, I'll call them Harlequin pieces. So this is how you are going to end this row, and then we'll be going on to row 3. After you finish this row, you're still going to be working in the same color if you choose to do this pattern of the like a lavender or white or 2-color change. But you're going to do a chain 3 and turn your work. At the base of that chain 3, you can see a little opening. And in there, you are going to do 3 double crochets right into the top of that opening right there. Then what you're going to do is you are going to go down to the white row, and that was a chain that we had done between the 3 double crochets, chain 3 double crochets, and you're going to do a single crochet. When you do that, you're going to incorporate that chain 7. Then you are going to go into that next little eyelet opening, and you are going to do 3 double crochets, chain 1 in that row. I'm sorry, in that stitch, not a row. And this is making the top of that little triangle harlequin looking cluster, whatever you want to call it. And what you're going to do next is you are going to go again down to the white row and incorporating that chain 7, so just going right over the top of it around it. So you're going to go down into that opening, pull your yarn up, and you are going to pull those and cinch them together, and it just makes a really nice edge. And you're going to continue that all the way until you get to the end. Once you are on that very end space, what you're going to do is you'll just do that 3 double crochet again. And that's just how you're ending your rows, is because you just can't keep going on and making those little triangles. You do have to end them at some point. So that is what we're doing in this pattern right here. So let's continue, and we are at the very end. We just did our single crochet, and right there we are going to do I'm sorry, 3 double crochets in the top of that stitch. And once we finish that, we're going to be moving on to our next row, and I am going to be changing back to my original color of white. And so that last double crochet, I'm actually finishing in the white. And I want to pull everything tight. So moving on to row 4, we're going to do a chain 4 on this one. And we're going to get right into our repeat pattern. So we are going to do 6 together. So what we're going to do is we are going to start uh, right here where we had the chain, and we are going to do those double crochet 6 together. And when you're doing stitches together, you're just not completing the stitch, and you're leaving on your hook the remaining, I guess, unfinished double crochet. So we're going to skip that little center chain. So you're just going to keep going like it's not even there. And you're going to have 2, 4, 6, 7 on your hook, 7 loops on your hook. You're going to pull through all of them. And then we're going to do a chain 7. After our chain 7, we are going to continue on to the next piece, which is just a skip stitch, and we're going to do those 6 double crochets together. You're going to do this until you get to the very end, which is just a little different. So what you're going to do now is you are going to skip right there, that one, that top chain 1, and you're going to go into the very next stitch, which is working down that side of that Harlequin triangle. So we're going to do double crochet 6 together, skipping that little stitch at the bottom, pretending like it's not even there. And we're just going to continue to do that. And that is going to be that entire repeat pattern. And when you have to end things a little differently, like I said, it's just to create an ending so that things do not look all cattywampus, and there's like a nice um, uniformed look to your finishing here. So here we are finishing the very last chain 3, and we're going to do one little single crochet in the top of that stitch, and then we're going to go on to row 5. This is the last row that is going to be different. So keeping the same color pattern that I have, you're going to do a chain 1. And then what you're going to do is you're going to skip that chain 3 area, and you're going to go right into your repeat pattern, which is 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets all into the same stitch. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do a single crochet in, I guess it's like 2 rows down, because if you count that chain 7 as part of that one row, but you're going to go down to the row that actually has a stitch in it. So I guess it's 2 rows below. And you're going to do that single crochet. And you're just going to pull it all together and make some nice clean edges, and doing that single crochet. You are going to do that all the way across until you get to the very end, and you're going to go right into the top of that eyelet with this cluster of stitches, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and then when you get to the very end, like I said, and I've said it more than once, is it's just the ending and to make it look uniform. So at the very end, what you're going to do is you are going to do the 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, and you're going to end with a single crochet in that chain 4. And that is it. You will repeat rows 2 through row 5 to make whatever length that you want. And that is the Harlequin stitch, my friends. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to check me out on other social medias. And as always, I appreciate you stopping by. And peace, love, and happiness to you all. Take care.